y'all wanted me to talk more about how to sharpen your psychic skills. So the first thing that I started with is literally validate everything that is in your experience. What I found when I looked inside and paid attention to the actual sensations that were happening to me, there were like double the amount of things that I could detect versus what people told me was possible to detect. I recently read this book called Attuned that literally walks you through that process of how to feel those things. It's not a book about psychic skills, it's literally about feeling your feelings. So I would get that book. When I started this process, I thought I was mainly clairsentient, so feeling things. But it turns out spirit uses many ways to communicate with me. I have some claircognizance, I just know things. I have some clairvoyance, I see things in my mind. I do not see things in my outer reality, but some psychics do. Now and then I'll see an orb when I'm recording a video, and I often do see orbs in other people's videos. I have a pretty small amount of clairaudience, which is hearing things or interpreting through hearing things. What I found is that my spirit guides were communicating with me almost all the time, and I was literally ignoring every single signal. When I was making pasta, I would get, "Your pasta's ready." And then the gaslighting part of my brain that was programmed into me by all the people around me my entire life would say, "You couldn't possibly know that that pasta is ready. So if you go to the stove and the pasta is ready, it will be an accident." If you start listening to those signals and then perfecting that muscle over time, you will find that you know way more information than you think you do. This is the exact same way that I tap into people. And it's never gonna feel like you actually know the information. It's gonna feel the exact same way as "Your pasta is ready," and then the voice will say, "You couldn't possibly know that." So I tap into someone and I go, "Mother was an alcoholic." And then I just have to say that to that person. I have no sense of whether it's true. And then the person will validate for me, "Yes, my mother was an alcoholic." Or sometimes they say, "No, she wasn't an alcoholic." And I go, "Weird. I wonder what that information meant." That happens all the time as a psychic, and it's one of the more nerve-wracking things about being a psychic is you just have to throw things out and see what sticks. There are many things that I don't throw out that spirit is like, "No, that was a really important bit of information and you chose to ignore it because you were pretty sure that it wasn't true." But that would have been really resonant to them. Sometimes spirit has something for you that I don't know or I'm not familiar with. Not that long ago, I was in a reading and I was like, your passed away husband is calling you by some term of endearment that's strange." And she goes, "Aw, poopsie Q," or something like that. It was a word that I had never heard. And I was like, that's fascinating that I knew that it was something that I also didn't know. I had a reading yesterday where the spirit guides were like, "We're going to give her a book, but you don't know the book." And I was like, okay, so they're going to give you a book and I don't know what it is. So be looking around for books that they send you. And that brings me to my next point, which is to sharpen your psychic skills is often to know an esoteric language. So there are many languages that spirit can use. They can use the language of numerology, the language of the tarot, which is very tightly tied in with the language of numerology and the language of astrology. There are many different systems. There is the Jewish tree of life. There is the chakra system. It doesn't matter what system it is, and usually whatever one you know best, that's the one they will use to communicate with you. And so as a psychic, I continue to learn. I expand my areas of knowledge so that spirit can communicate with me better. I have my own individual symbols. So yellow means friendship. Sunflowers, if someone's wearing sunflowers, that's usually just like a good omen. Hummingbirds are a sign of good fortune or abundance. Butterflies are transformation. So I have some individual symbols that also they will use. If you want to practice your psychic skills, it's usually best to try to read for other people rather than yourself. It's always hard to read for myself. So I think it's easier to practice on other people. Get a friend who is open to this and open to you sharpening this, and try to do a reading for them. Maybe you use cards, maybe you don't. I really don't need cards. in order to read my favorite people. Some people are easier to read than others. I have a feeling that there's more similarity between our energy fields. There are some people that are very strange to me, and I look into their energy. I'm like, I mean, I feel this, but I have no familiarity with what this is. This is a very different vibe. And because I have not felt this in my own life, because I have not gone through this, I am unclear as to what this means and where this is going and how to give information about this. But the people who are easy, I don't need the cards. So just know there's going to be easy people, there's going to be hard people. And if people aren't willing to feel their own feelings, you cannot read them. So people's readability has very much to do with how in touch they are with themselves, which was really helpful for me to know early on.